The book of the prophet Ezekiel, chapter 28, the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man, and not God, that thou set thine heart as the heart of God. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom and with thine understanding thou hast gotten thee riches, and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasures. By thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou increased thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. Therefore thus saith the Lord, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of God. Behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. And they shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. Wilt thou yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am God? But thou shalt be a man, and no God, in the hand of him that slayeth thee. Thou shalt die the deaths of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers. For I have spoken it, saith the Lord God. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus saith the Lord God, Thou sealest up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. They're talking about Satan now. Okay. This is lending itself to the Antichrist has been around since Eden, right? And has inhabited different people, the spirit of this Antichrist, right? We've seen some people like this guy Haman, right, in Esther. To me, this is how I'm reading it. This is what I come up with. This guy had this same exact spirit. He tried to destroy all the Jews. He put up an edict on this day, kill all the Jews in the land. This is the day of purging the Jews. But it did get turned around, right, by Queen Esther. But he had that spirit. And a couple of other people that we have come across have had that spirit. This king of Tyrus is wise and as rich as he is. But what does it say? It says, Thou art wiser than Daniel. That's saying something, right? Who's wiser than Daniel? Solomon, maybe, right? Maybe they're saying Daniel is wiser than Solomon. I think that's what the truth is. Because Solomon failed because of his whoring. But this is a clear example of this Antichrist spirit. And it's in the king of Tyrus. And look, God is recognizing it. He's saying, Thou art wiser than Daniel. And now he's going to talk about, I'm going to read this over. Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardius, topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold. The workmanship of thy tabrets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. So he's very musical, Satan, as you see. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. You know what that iniquity was, right? He wanted to take his place. He wanted to be worshipped. By the multitude of thy merchandise they have filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane. So you see what this guy became, right? This guy in Tyrus, this king of Tyrus, right? I don't know, it may have been Hiram that they're talking about specifically, because he was a king of Tyre, right? It makes sense if they're talking about him, because look what is being said, right? Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day that thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee, right? And then it talks about by the multitude of thy merchandise they have filled the midst of thee with violence. So he was just the richest person on earth, on the face of the earth, the richest. And it's okay, right? If that's what God has laid upon you. But it says just by the multitude, he just had so much stuff that caused it. And thou hast sinned, therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. And he keeps calling him a covering cherub. No, he calls him an anointed cherub, and then a covering cherub. I think he's talking about Satan, but I think Satan was a six-winged seraphim, but he's been called a cherub. I don't know why. Maybe he got demoted after certain lives, you get demoted. I think the seraph. I don't know. Maybe Satan's a cherub. I don't know. Doesn't seem like that. He's a seraph. Okay. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. Thou hast defiled thy sanctuaries by the multitude of thine iniquities, by the iniquity of thy traffic. So it's just too much. It said the multitude. So multitude of traffic. Goods. Right? He's got just too much stuff. And whatever that means, he's not distributing it properly, fairly. Probably like that is a problem. He just got too much. He's being like greedy. Therefore, will I bring forth a fire from the midst of thee, it shall devour thee, and I will bring thee to ashes upon the earth in the sight of all them that behold thee. All they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt thou be any more. Again the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Zidon, that's their neighbor, and prophesy against it, and say, Thus saith the Lord God, Behold, I am against thee, O Zidon, and I will be glorified in the midst of thee, and they shall know that I am the Lord, when I shall have executed judgments in her, and shall be sanctified in her. For I will send into her pestilence and blood into her streets. And the wounded shall be judged in the midst of her by the sword upon her on every side. And they shall know that I am the Lord. And there shall be no more a pricking briar unto the house of Israel. Oh. So, what does it keep saying? It's like, okay, 5 years into this, 7 years into this, right? Let's go back to 26. When it came to pass in the 11th year, right? So I think even though this is kind of the first seventh of their stay in Babylon, if I'm understanding it the way I'm understanding it, he's cleaning out house before he has them return. And I don't know what point this is, but it's probably kind of in the beginning or middle, maybe. And so these are the most powerful places of money, not of army, of money, right? And money can buy army, right? So it's tight. Well, maybe, but maybe not. Maybe not in those days, because they're surrounded on the top by Assyria, right? This Phoenicia, and then on the bottom is all these tribes and the problems and who's ever getting involved with that. And then to the right is Babylon in Iraq, right? I don't know. Maybe Babylon is closer. But the whole area, maybe they cannot pay, but they can keep just being rich. So it says here this king of Tyrus just became so rich. He was very great. He's a beautiful. And the only reason they're saying that is because he has the quality of the Antichrist. It's not like he in himself. This is a continued quality. And so the Antichrist likes a lot of money. That's what we can tell from this. But it's a little confusing that he is being called an anointed cherub, because before now I believe he's a seraph. Even though I did read this part, I try to just ignore it, because I had this underlined before, so I looked at it at some point. That's a whole study. That's an interesting study, right? The cherub or the seraph. And then how come Nakash, right? If it means snake, Nakash, if that means snake, then you know that the word copper is very close to it. It's almost the same. It's like Nekoseth, something like this. And then you hear about the fiery flying serpents. And then you try to put all those things together, like a seraphim and a cherub. And the seraph seem more close because it's fiery. Seraph means fiery fly, means fiery, I don't know. Fiery doesn't mean serpent. It means fiery, flying maybe, but it means fiery. We'll just keep going.